Greetings and good day, Miss Florence. My name is Datu Mohammad Rashidi, and I'm excited to present my English lesson plan for your review. Today we are diving into how I'll be teaching the topic Exploring Malay Practices in Malaysia through short stories to my class at SMK Kota Marududua, according to the lesson plan. Let's start with the lesson profile. So the lesson will be conducted face-to-face with 25 students from Class 1 Gemilang. The level of proficiency is average, and the focus will be on reading skills integrated with speaking skills, and the approach will be based on behaviorism, constructivism, humanism, and cognitivism. So, the theme of the lesson plan is people and culture, and the content aspect is describing using adjective, and the prior knowledge is students have basic knowledge about adjective, and the primary objective is for students to identify adjective used to describe cultural practices in a given short story. By the end of the lesson, students should be able to fill in a bubble map about Malay practices and analyze their cultural significance in a role-play activity. Now let us move on to learning theories. So I use 4 learning theories as I mentioned just now, which are behaviorism, constructivism, humanism, and cognitivism. So in the slide, behaviorism emphasizes observable behaviors learned through repetition and reinforcement. And it also reflects in structured practice activities and positive reinforcement. So behaviorism focuses on observable behaviors and the idea that behaviors can be learned through conditioning. In my lesson plan, behaviorism is reflected in the structured practice activities that reinforce learning through repetition and reinforcement. For example, students' completion of activities and receiving praise and compliments serve as positive reinforcement, encouraging them to continue engaging with the material. In the end of the lesson, I also applied one of the behaviorism theory, which is operant conditioning, the positive operant conditioning, which is giving rewards. So operant conditioning, sometimes called instrumental conditioning or Skinnerian conditioning, is a method of learning that uses rewards and punishment to modify behavior. Through operant conditioning, behavior that is rewarded is likely to be repeated, while behavior that is punished is prone to happen less. This is what we call a teacher-centered theory, because the teacher conditioning, the teacher are in charge in making or modify behavior of the students. In this case, I will give my students a reward in the end of the lesson to appreciate their concentration and participation in class, and they tend to maintain that behavior according to this theory. Second, constructivism. So constructivism highlights active construction of knowledge through experiences and reflection. It is integrated through cooperative learning, fostering collaboration and meaning making. So constructivism is the theory that says learners construct knowledge rather than just passively take in information. So in a constructivist classroom, they focus on students' questions and interests. They build on what students already know, which is prior knowledge, and they focus on interactive learning and are student-centered compared to behaviorism, which is more to teacher-centered theory. And teachers have a dialogue with students to help them construct their own knowledge. So as we know, constructivism emphasizes that learners actively construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiences and reflection. In my lesson plan, constructivism is integrated through cooperative learning, where students collaborate with peers to fill in a bubble map about Malay practices and analyze their cultural significance. This approach encourages students to actively engage with the material, share their perspective, and construct meaning together. Education works best when it concentrates on thinking and understanding rather than on rote memorization. So if you want your students to concentrate on thinking rather than memorizing, you should apply constructivism. Next, humanism. Prioritize holistic development and meeting emotional needs, and evident in praise and compliments, promoting a supportive learning environment. So humanist approaches to learning support positive emotions in students, which is motivation, empathy, and high self-esteem, and seek to help and avoid negative emotion, as we know, like anger, anxiety, stress, and depression. Humanistic approaches have a close connection with the learner-centered ideas of constructivism. So, while behaviorism is a teacher-centered theory where you control your students through conditioning, so my initiative is I align this positive operant conditioning, like giving rewards, with a student-centered theory, humanism. How? Humanism focuses on the holistic development of individuals and the importance of meeting learners' emotional and psychological needs. In my lesson plan, humanism is evident in the praise and compliments given to students for their efforts and contribution during the activities. Recognizing student achievements and providing positive reinforcement fosters a supportive and encouraging learning environment, enhancing students' self-esteem and motivation. So it balances between the two theories, where I as a teacher control their behavior through positive operant conditioning, and at the same time it balances with the student-centered theory, humanism, which I provide praises and compliments to them to avoid negative emotions such as anger, depressions, and etc. Lastly, cognitivism. Cognitivism is used in education. Let's read the slides first. Focuses on mental processes like memory and problem solving, demonstrated through activities that promote critical thinking and analysis. Basically, it has something to do with thinking, the activities that happens in our brain. So cognitivism is used in education because it focuses on the processes of the brain that create new learning by connecting the neural pathways. These pathways are formed when students are able to connect prior learning to new learning in meaningful ways. Cognitivism emphasizes the role of mental processes such as memory, attention, and problem solving in learning. In my lesson plan, cognitivism is demonstrated through activities that promote students' critical thinking and problem solving skills. For example, students engage in analyzing adjective used in the short story to describe Malay practices, requiring them to think critically about the cultural significance of the language used and how it shapes their understanding. So if you want your students to think critically and to develop solving skills, you should apply cognitivism because it does help with students' independency and encourages them to be creative and innovative in thinking. Now, let's relate each phase of the lesson plan to Gagne's 9 events of instruction. But first, let us engage with the definition. So Gagny suggested 9 events of instruction that may enhance student learning. That is the definition. And the 9 events of instruction are: gain attention, inform learners of objective, stimulate recall of prior learning, present stimulus, provide learner guidance, elicit performance, provide feedback, assess performance, and enhance retention and transfer. So in the induction phase, there is one Gagny's event, which is gain attention. The teacher captures students' attention by showcasing traditional Malay attire, stimulating curiosity about the topic Malay practices. So, yeah, the first one is gaining attention. Moving on to the presentation phase, there are 3 Gagny's instructions that I applied. I begin by clearly stating the learning objective. This ensures students understand what they will learn, which correspond to Gagny's events of inform learners of the objective, because they have to be clear first before they engage into the activity, into the learning. Additionally, I prompt students to recall their prior knowledge about adjective and cultural practices, priming them for the lesson. This aligns with Gagny's event of stimulate recall of prior learning. Then, I present the stimulus material, the short story about Malay practices, providing students with essential content. This corresponds to Gagny's event of present stimulus material. Now moving on to practice phase, there are 3 Gagny's instructions. Firstly, the teacher's guidance aligns with Gagny's event of provide learner guidance. By offering clear explanation and examples of adjective, the teacher helps students understand how to analyze and interpret the language used in the story effectively. Next, engaging students in activities such as filling in a bubble map and participating in role plays corresponds to Gagny's event of elicit performance. Through these activities, students actively demonstrate their understanding of adjective and cultural practices, applying the knowledge gained from the lesson. After that, offering feedback during and after the activities is in line with Gagny's event of provide feedback. The teacher's feedback, whether positive reinforcement or constructive criticism, reinforces correct understanding and addresses any misconceptions, guiding students toward mastery of the lesson objective. Basically, mastery learning. So, there are 3 Gagny's instructions that been applied in the practice phase. And now moving on to production phase, there are 3 Gagny's instructions that I applied. Firstly, during the production phase, students engage in role plays where they actively demonstrate their understanding of adjective and cultural practices. This hands-on activity allows students to apply their knowledge in real-world context, aligning with Gagny's event of elicit performance. So this activity is not only fun but also indirectly making them practice in a real-world context or real-life scenario, so they can understand better. Then the teacher provides feedback during and after the role play activities, offering praise for correct usage of adjective and constructive feedback to address any misconceptions. This feedback reinforces learning and helps students improve their understanding, which is also aligning with Gagny's event of provide feedback. Moreover, the teacher assesses students' performance during the role plays, evaluating their ability to apply adjective effectively and embody cultural practices. This assessment provides valuable insights into students' comprehension and achievement of the learning objective, aligning with Gagny's event of assessed performance. So by incorporating these elements into the production phase, students actively engage with the lesson content, receive feedback on their performance, and undergo assessment to gauge their understanding and proficiency. This ensures a comprehensive learning experience aligned with Gagny's 9 events of instruction. Finally, moving on to the closure phase, which is during the closure phase, the teacher assesses students' performance by asking them to recap what they have learned. This assessment allows the teacher to evaluate students' understanding of the lesson content and their ability to achieve the learning objective. And also, the second Gagny events, which is also provide feedback. So if you notice, there are many Gagny's event of instruction which is providing feedback because it is one of the most essential, crucial, or fundamental in lesson plan. So feedback is provided during the closure phase as the teacher offers praise for correct responses and constructive feedback to address any misconceptions. This feedback reinforces learning and helps students improve their understanding. And as I mentioned earlier, I also give them rewards in the end of the lesson. So I think that this will be also count as providing feedback because it's aligned with the praises and compliments from the teacher to their students. So finally, conclusion. To sum up, by integrating various learning theories such as behaviorism, constructivism, humanism, and cognitivism, and aligning each phase of the lesson plan with Gagny's 9 events of instruction, I aim to provide a comprehensive and effective learning experience for my students. So my students will basically experiencing 4 theories altogether, which is the behaviorism, constructivism, humanism, and cognitivism. I pick out the best to align between these theories so they can experience the full package of learning. And also, I aim to provide a comprehensive and effective learning experience for my students. Through engaging activities, constructive feedback, and opportunities for reflection, students will not only achieve the learning objective, but also develop critical thinking skills, cultural understanding, and a lifelong appreciation for learning. So, if you align your learning theories in your lesson plan with Gagny's 9 events of instructions, it creates a nearly perfect lesson plan and also teaching session to the students because it is crucial and also important to the students, so no one will left behind and no one will suffer with like depression, anxiety, anger, and whatsoever, and they also enjoy the learning materials that the teachers provided, resulting in increasing performance or results. So thank you, Miss Florence, for your attention and consideration of my English lesson plan, and I hope you understand and you can correlate with my explanations about my lesson plans, which is involving the Gagne's 9 event of instruction, learning theories, and the brief explanation of my lesson profiles. That's all. Thank you.